All right, before we start,
Okay.
I got to shout out this company.
Yeah.
So this is
The
I don't know if you can-
CIA. Shout out to the CIA.
You can't really see it. No, definitely not shout out to the CIA. This company on Instagram called Barely Legal Shirts. Fantastic. If you are looking for a good Instagram follow them. Their shirts are hilarious.
Yeah.
But this shirt says, the more you know, the closer the CIA gets.
You know what that shirt reminds me of?
What? And it's in this is Reading Rainbow, right? The more you know. Isn't that from the Reading Rainbow?
I don't know for
It's from
sure.
PBS of some kind.
Probably.
I think so.
But like the way that that's in that like stupid word art kind of
Yeah,
font.
well, that's the font.
Yeah. But it reminds me of when I was a kid and I really enjoyed PowerPoint.
Oh, and making PowerPoints?
I made PowerPoint, so many PowerPoint
Does anybody
presentations.
know that? You've never told
I
anybody
don't
that.
know. Now everybody knows that.
Well, everybody.
But yeah,
the
if-
50 viewers that watch this podcast, we love you.
Like if there was anything that I liked or was interested in at all, I made a PowerPoint presentation.
That's so funny.
Yeah. And I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
I wish we still had some of those.
I know.
I would give anything to be able to go through
I
one
know.
of those PowerPoints.
And it was like, I mean, this was probably like 2004.
Oh, baby. So you were very much like,
Because it was when we had like our family's first desktop computer
Yeah.
in the family room. It was like there was chair, couch, chair, TV, desktop computer.
yes.
And I would sit there.
While
I would make PowerPoint.
While you were making PowerPoints, I was downloading terrible viruses onto the family computer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's the difference between boys and girls. All
But-
my boys out there know what I'm talking
But
about.
that like word art font really reminds me of like all the sick animations and like
you do transitions and everything? Oh, yeah. You
that
gotta
I
do the
would put in my
transitions.
PowerPoints. I had pictures.
You know what's funny?
That faded in. I mean, I was really great at
that
PowerPoint.
like came back around as like a post-ironic thing on TikTok. You remember all these people were doing PowerPoint presentations?
yes, like funny. We
Yes.
did them with our friends.
We
once.
did. But it's
Yeah.
that same type of thing. It just, you know, how we just consume ourselves. That's just what culture is. It's just a consumption of old things.
But yeah,
Anyway,
I like that shirt, and it reminds me of my PowerPoint childhood.
I have to stop myself from buying all of their shirts.
Yeah.
All of their shirts are incredible.
Yeah.
Like there's one, it's like Lehman Brothers risk assessment. Dude, I'm going to get that one. It's a hoodie. I'm getting that. Do you know who Lehman Brothers are?
No.
So Lehman Brothers was the massive bank that collapsed in 2008. Oh, so it's just so
okay.
funny. Lehman Brothers risk assessment department.
assessment.
So funny. I love
that's
it.
great.
So today we're doing something a little wild for the
Ooh.
icebreaker initial beginning. I'm just going to rapid fire throw these at you and then I'm going to give my answer.
All right,
There's like 20 questions here.
Oh my God.
Keep it brief, okay? You ready?
Oh, that's hard for me.
Who's your favorite author?
Victor Hugo.
My favorite author is Cuban. What's his name?
Wow,
Cuban
rapid
guy.
fire.
Smokes cigars, bull riding. Help me.
Oh, Ernest Hemingway?
Ernest Hemingway. There you go. He's not Cuban, but he lived.
Cuban.
I know.
I would say my favorite current author is Emily St. John Mandel.
Okay, well, Barbara Kingslover or whatever the hell
She's
her name
another
is.
great
Who's
one.
my current author? I don't have a current favorite. I like my favorite genre currently is fiction or is fantasy.
Yeah.
Okay. What was the last thing you ate?
One of the fig bars this morning.
Nice. I had 2 English muffins with maple syrup on them because we didn't have any bananas, and I had to train, baby. Oh, I think I'm peeking a little bit. Sorry, guys. I'm screaming. What's your favorite holiday? Easy.
Christmas.
Yeah, no doubt. If you're a non-Christmas lover, get out of here. What's your favorite part of working from home? This actually works.
Wearing pajamas. I don't change out of my pajamas.
That's got to be the same for me. And
great.
I'm hybrid. I kind of work from home. Most interesting book genre.
I like fiction.
Fiction? That's just massive. You got to pick one in fiction.
What do you mean one in? I guess I like classics. The classics.
A genre, that's like a category. I guess a genre is a category,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean? Like fiction, nonfiction, and then you've got all these little deets in the middle, in the inside.
Okay, I like classic fiction.
Okay. Fantasy. I just said it. Where was I? More productive, morning or night?
Morning, 100%.
Me too. Around 3 p.m., my brain goes, no more.
forget it.
Yeah. Yep. What's something interesting we would not know about you just by looking? That's a dumb question. You don't have to answer that one if you don't want to. What's something interesting we wouldn't know about you just by looking?
I speak Spanish.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Dude, that's a good one. Yeah. White as mayonnaise.
I always get some like shocked looks.
It's why I force you to speak in Spanish all the time to like waiters, because I love when,
I remember the first time I got that look.
dude, when you just go
I
in
remember-
pure Spanish and the people are like, Wait, what?
It was my first Spanish competition
Yeah.
because they in the Spanish competition they class you by like how good you should be at Spanish,
Yeah.
right? Like, are you like I don't know. 4D is you were born in a Spanish-speaking country and
First
grew up
language was
there.
Spanish, like
You grew up in a Spanish-speaking
Yeah.
country until you moved to the U.S. a year ago, and now you're at the Spanish competition.
Yeah.
1A is me,
uh-huh.
white
1A is
as
like-
a lily.
That was where I
no
was.
Spanish
I was 1A.
heritage.
Yeah.
Nobody in your family speaks Spanish. You've only been exposed.
But I have
from,
Spanish heritage, but I'd never.
But like
learned
your
it.
only language exposure was in the classroom. So
Yeah.
I'm 1A with all these other like lily white freshmen in high school.
Right.
And you have to give a 2-minute talk in Spanish about a semi-surprise topic.
Okay.
Right? There's like
Oh, yeah,
25
yeah.
topics,
Oh,
but
I'm
you
getting
don't know which
PTSD.
one you're going to pick.
I did the Spanish competition too, folks, and it was not as fun for me.
And it's 3 native speaker judges in front of you, and they basically give you a grade. Anyway, I pick my topic. You get to think about your topic while the person before you goes. So
Yeah.
I'm ready. I stand up and I face the judges and I just start talking.
Yeah. Because
And
by
I
this
remember
point you were very, very good at Spanish.
I took to it immediately.
Yeah.
And I
jeez.
loved it. I find it very beautiful and interesting. But anyway, I just remember I'd been talking for about 10 seconds and one of the judges looks up at me and he goes,
What are you doing in 1A? That's so funny.
and you could tell it was like, you know that meme where there's a lady and there's like the math in
Yeah.
front of her? It was kind of like that. And he was like, how the hell?
What is going on here? Did we miscategorize you?
you?
My favorite moment of that is just whenever we're in
It's
like
so
a Mexican
funny.
restaurant and I'm
Yeah.
like, just please order in Spanish. I'm begging you. You never want to do it.
No, I don't.
It's so funny. Okay, where were we?
What you would never know about me.
What? I don't know. I love.
That you're Indian?
Oh, that's a good one. I have Indian heritage.
one-
I'm
one
one quarter
quarter.
Indian. You'd never know.
Nope.
But there we go. Another one is I love slice of life romance anime. Just
Yeah.
my absolute. You'd never know looking at me. Love it. Absolutely love it. Okay. If you could live in any state, which state would you pick? I know this one for me. What's yours?
Oh, actually,
Any state.
I don't know.
First thing that comes to the top of your head.
Virginia.
Virginia. Oh, that's a good one. Montana. Big sky country, baby.
Colonial Williamsburg, baby.
Colonial Williamsburg.
That was one of my favorite vacations I ever took as a
What?
kid.
Virginia's a nice state.
And it's cold and hot.
Cold and hot. Yep. I don't mind
Beach
Virginia.
and mountains.
Yeah, Virginia's got everything.
Or North Carolina. I like North Carolina.
Same type of thing. What do you usually eat for a quick lunch?
I meal prep at the beginning of the
Yeah.
week. My favorite that I
one
always
doesn't
come
work
back
for
to
us.
is Mexican quinoa.
Oh, that's good. I mean,
I had it last week.
I have been eating for the past, I don't know,
Did
2.5 years, a turkey and rice bowl.
Yeah.
Quick lunch, long lunch, doesn't matter. I'm eating that.
This week it's going to be like a cold ramen,
Ooh,
like
a little cold ramen.
with like a little peanut sauce.
What is your number one recommendation in this city? So we live in Atlanta. Do you have one? I have one.
What is it?
Get out.
Aw. What about Emerald City
I hate it here.
Bagels?
Oh, Emerald City Bagels is fine.
And mine
not
would,
worth it.
Mine would be the Book Nook on North Druid Hills Road.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Except
We
it's
got two.
don't go there. That's my place.
That's your place. Okay. What is the best kitchen gadget? I don't have any idea on this one.
A good knife.
Okay, I'll go with that. I'm garbage in the kitchen. Which song could you listen to over and over again? This is really hard. You want me to go?
No. Oh, Don't Stop Me Now by Queen.
Oh yeah, you do.
That is my favorite song.
That was the song we walked out to in my graduate school graduation.
It makes me smile.
Song for me, I mean, right now it's Higher by Creed. I don't know why, but I click for some reason. I was on my YouTube Music because I use YouTube Music because I don't know. I'm anti-establishment, so I refuse to use Spotify. Hence the shirt.
Sure.
I don't know. I just use YouTube Music, and on there was like some playlist, and I was in the gym, and I was like, oh yeah, let me give this a shot. I think it was like 90s alternative or 2000s alternative, and I clicked, and the first one was Higher by Creed, and I non-ironically was like, this song
great.
rules. It is so good. I am a Creed apologist at this point in
That's
my
awesome.
life.
I
But
love that.
for the past month, I have just been like, that is top of the list.
Yeah.
Just go, I'll listen to it in the car. I don't even have to be in the gym. Crazy. All right. You can visit any fictional time or place. Which would you pick? Fictional time or place. Okay, so go into a fiction world, I guess.
I guess I'd go to Game of Thrones.
Yeah. But then you
world.
die.
No, I would be like,
Oh, you get to pick that you're like top of the top.
Yeah.
This is the problem with this is like everybody assumes that they're going to be nobility.
But like
you're
that's
going to be a
5%.
peasant and
But
you're going to die.
in a world where I get to pick,
Mhm.
like I feel like you would also get to pick where you live.
Yeah, let's say you get to pick like you get to be whatever you want to be in this
Yeah.
fantasy world.
I would pick being a member of the Tyrell family.
Oh, there you go. That's a good one. I
They're
would
in
pick
it, but they're not totally in it, and they have the best castle.
I would pick being a Saiyan warrior in Dragon Ball Z.
All right.
Just in a heartbeat, dude. I would pick that.
Oh, or I would be Mr. Monk's assistant.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We're almost done here. Which show do you remember most from your childhood? This is impossible for you. You didn't watch TV.
I didn't watch much TV. I guess That's So Raven.
Wow.
That was like the first non-children's
Yeah.
show that I was
Non-children's
permitted
children's
to
show.
watch.
Yeah, dude. Because what you couldn't watch SpongeBob,
No, we didn't watch Nickelodeon.
Rugrats.
Are you joking?
Really?
You think I was allowed to watch Rugrats?
Listen, I don't
Are
know.
you joking? Are you joshing me right now?
I'm trying to think what probably Arthur for me or Gumby.
Oh, I loved Arthur.
I would go and shout out to my dad. He loves telling this story. I lived in Cayman. I grew up in the Cayman Islands. We had 2 Blockbusters. I think maybe 3. But anyway,
You had 3 Blockbusters on that tiny
dude,
little
we had
island?
a ton of Blockbusters.
That's
like we had more
hilarious.
Blockbusters than we did Wendy's.
You had more Blockbusters in your area than I probably did in mine. We had one.
I think it was either 2 or 3. I remember one specifically that we would go to, and every Friday, my dad would pick us up, and we would go to Blockbuster, and we would get a video.
and
I
you
think
got the same one every week.
I would get Gumby's Adventure or whatever. So much so that I think if my dad had bought that
You
VHS, he
probably
would have saved hundreds of dollars
Yeah.
in rental fees. I'm not even kidding. I rented this thing for like 3 years straight every Friday. I promise you, you can ask he loves to give me hell about this all the time. He's like, why do you, same Gumby show every time? I'm like, yeah, it was good. I don't know. I liked it. He should have just bought it. They would have sold it to him. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the earliest book you remember? Well, that's interesting.
Ooh,
What is the
the
earliest book I remember?
Dr. Seuss ABC book.
Wow. When was that?
Read it with my mom as a toddler.
Dude, what's the earliest book I remember? Probably Aragon, the dragon. Yeah, that's the one I remember like actually realizing, oh, this is a book. What's your favorite season? Super easy.
Fall.
Winter. And what is your favorite seasoning?
My favorite seasoning?
Yeah.
I like rosemary.
What's that red stuff? Cumin? That red stuff that you...
Paprika.
Paprika. There you go. You know what?
Paprika doesn't even really have a flavor.
What do you mean?
It's so mild. It's just the color red. It just makes your food look red.
And that's why I like it. I like a red chicken.
It makes your food look like it should be spicy,
Yeah.
but it's not.
No, I mean, that's fine.
Okay.
All right, so that was rapid fire.
That was fun.
I like those.
I
Those are
enjoyed
cool. We
that.
might do that again.
That was very fun.
I literally went to Google and was like icebreakers, and then I just copied a massive list. It's like 20 questions. I don't know. I just couldn't think of another topic to talk about.
No, I thought that was really fun.
All right. So last week we talked a little bit about my struggles in 2020.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought maybe we'd talk a little bit about that some more.
Yeah.
Because I talk about this stuff because I want you guys to realize, and this is really cliche, but if I can make these changes, I truly believe that anybody can.
You are completely a different person
Yes.
than you were 3 or 4 years ago.
And I am completely different than I like my whole life was that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I was a good student. I wasn't a great student. Like I wasn't this person that you would assume, oh, you can make these changes. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Not really.
Like I feel like people see these transformations on Instagram or whatever, and they're like, yeah, but you were set up really well for that, or you had good genetics or whatever.
Oh.
You can look at my family history. You can look at, my relationship with food from a very early age. I was not set up for success. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I talk about this stuff, not to brag on myself, but to say,
Anybody can
use
do it.
me as an example, because when I was in the depths of where I was, I think anybody can do it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just set the scene a little bit. We had just moved to Atlanta because, and this is something that I'm working through. We're going to get a little personal on this podcast today. just stay with me, folks. One of my biggest regrets in life is going to grad school. And I say that kind of coming out of this because I don't really regret it as much as I used to.
Yeah.
But I can say this with a little bit of, it's my biggest regret. I felt like it was something that I wanted to do at the time. I wanted to become a filmmaker. I loved film. I still do. But I thought, okay, history is not really working out. That's what my undergraduate degree was. I didn't want to be a lawyer like my original plan. So I was like kind of lost. I was kind of in the weeds, and I just grabbed onto something that I really liked. And Florida State has a great film school. I loved my time there, and I loved all the people in my class. But coming out of that and getting into the actual industry was a huge wake-up call between what grad school was and what the industry actually is. And I think all of my classmates experienced that.
And I think, I mean, the writer's strike is going on right now.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's pretty common knowledge that there's a lot of, I don't know.
It's a tough industry, man.
It's a very tough industry. A lot of, you know, overwork for not
a lot of pay, terrible hours, a lot of travel, a lot of grunt work. Like, and I'm sure that there are other, like, working on an oil rig probably sucks. I mean, there's people here, they're like, oh, you pansy. Like,
working in a hospital really sucks.
Right. But I'm just saying, it was not, what really opened my eyes was when we all graduated and when we all got to this moment of like, holy cow, the industry is different than what we thought. A lot of my classmates were like, yeah, but I can still make this work. And my initial feeling was like, I don't want to.
Like, I don't know about this.
Holy cow. So I worked here in Atlanta for 6 months.
Yeah. And then COVID started.
And then COVID hit. But I worked, and every project that I worked on was miserable. I would get home and I would be like, I hated that. Maybe the next one will be better. And this was not because of the project. I think this was my reaction to the project. A lot of what we worked on was terrible and it was just bad hours. You know, I worked a lot of horrendous music videos that were just taking advantage of us. In the middle of the night, you know, no, whatever. Bad pay. Regardless, but a lot of them were good opportunities and great sets. And I still was having the same, like, oh, I hate this when I got home. I was like, man. So, and then COVID hit, and it was like so weird because I was free.
And because all of a sudden there was no work.
There was no work.
Nothing was being filmed.
And so I didn't have to hustle for this thing that I hated. And I felt so free for like 3 weeks. And then the existential dread started to hit in. We're like, why do I feel like this? Why do I feel free? I thought this was what I loved to do and what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm going to have to do this whole soul searching thing over again. And at this point, I'm what, 25, 26? And I was like, oh my God, I can't go back to school. I don't want to get in more debt. And so that was just plummet city, baby. We were deep in depression at that point.
And you remember the lease on your car was up, so you were stranded at home.
I didn't have a car because couldn't go anywhere.
Like, there was not going to be any work opportunities for a couple of months, so we figured we'll save some money
and not get a new car. Yeah,
because I had also been furloughed for a few weeks from work.
Yeah,
but then I had to go back, so you were just stuck at home.
Yep,
with nothing to do.
Man, that was tough.
It was tough.
And so,
I mean, I would come home and find you lying on the floor in a dark room.
Yeah, I love to do that. That was my main, like, I would have a panic attack.
If you're in a point where you love to lay on the floor in a dark room, something bad is going on.
It was the only thing that would settle me down. Yeah. Was like, I had to like ground myself into the floor because I would have a panic attack while you were at work because I was just sitting there thinking. And none of my hobbies would like distract me. I'd try to play games. I'd try to do whatever that I used to really like. None of it worked. So I would just lay on the floor and like breathe. And that was the only thing that could keep me going. And this lasted for like months to the point where I started like finding outlets in alcohol, number one, and food, number two. There would be times where I was completely nocturnal at this point. So Sarah would go to bed. Well, Sarah would come home and I would be waking up from my night sleep, right? And you came home, what, like 4 or 5 p.m.?
More like probably 3.
3, okay.
The hours were really low.
Right. So I would wake up and be like, hey, okay, you're here. And then from that time until she went to bed, I'd be like, now I can breathe. I can live because she's here. So I was putting so much on you to be like, you're the only thing that's keeping me alive. And then you would go to bed and I'd be like, well, now I got to find something else. So we lived 30 seconds from a Quick Trip, which is like a
it was right across
7-Eleven.
The street. Yeah.
So I'd get in her car and I'd go down and I'd get 6 to 7 pieces of pizza, 2 6-packs, a bunch of candy and I'd just bring it back home. And I would do that and sit in front of, random inane television for 6 to 8 hours while you were asleep all night. You'd wake up and I'd be like, hey, I'm still awake. And you'd be like, okay, that's great.
I gotta go.
I gotta go to work now. And I'm like, no, I love you. Don't leave. Okay, you gotta go to work. Okay, cool. Yeah. And then I would go to bed. Just like every single day.
Yeah.
Every single day for like 3 months. Mm-hmm. And dude, talking about that, what's so crazy is, like I said last week, I have nostalgia for that time. Like I have a longing to go back to that. They're still like,
really?
Yes, because in my twisted brain, I was like, oh, this is fun. Like I don't have to have any responsibilities. And I know mentally that I can never go back to that point because it was just terrible for me.
You were so depressed.
But emotionally, there's this like, dude, this would be a lot of fun if you could just do this again. You wouldn't have to worry about anything. So there's that. Anyway, through this whole time, I realized that I had a very addictive personality to a lot of different things. And so I'm sober. I've been sober since October of 2020 from alcohol, which was great. But at the same time, I kind of just pivoted that addiction to food. Mm-hmm. But anyway, sober from alcohol, great.
Yeah. Well, it was certainly a step in the right direction.
A definite step in the right direction. A lot of people, when they talk about this type of stuff, they say that they had like a rock bottom moment. And I don't think I ever had that.
Do you remember what it was that made you turn your life around?
I looked on the scale and it was 335 pounds and I couldn't walk up the stairs to our apartment without getting super winded. Mm-hmm. And I just think like one morning I was like, I can't do this. I just can't. Like, I felt like I was letting you down. Even though I never felt any negative emotion from you. You were just so supportive. But in my own head, I'm very self-reflective. I was like, what are you doing? You are just digging yourself into a deeper hole and you're pulling her down with you. And you can't do that. Mm-hmm. Like something in me was like, don't do it for yourself, but do it for her. And I was like, okay, cool. I can latch on to that because I'm so terrible with myself mentally, but I could latch on to like, it'll be better for her. She'll have a better time. I'm like, okay, yeah, cool.
I didn't know that.
Oh, 100%. It was not me. It was you. 100%.
Wow. I really didn't know that.
For sure. So October rolls around and I am always better in the fall and in the winter because it's cooler. I get more energized. I know a lot of people get...
You have like opposite seasonal depression.
I have opposite sad. Like literally spring makes me want to cry all the time. But fall and winter, I'm like, yes, let's do it.
Yeah.
So I was getting some momentum from that. And I think I remembered being in college and in grad school and having more fun than I've ever had when I was in the gym with my friends. Mm-hmm. In college, I would go with a couple guys and we would go to the Cage, we called it. It was just this crappy, like all iron gym. And we would just tool around and lift weights. And it was so fun. Yeah. And then in grad school, I was like, I knew a little bit about training. So I would take people with me and I would coach them a little bit. And that was the most fun I had in grad school. So I was like, you know what? Let me just try and get back in the gym.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even weightlifting at first. It was literally just me going and walking on the treadmill.
Yeah.
And as I started doing that, I had gained control of the alcohol addiction a little bit, but the food was still terrible. Mm-hmm. But I was like, you know what? Let me just focus on one thing at a time, which I think is the main point of what I'm trying to say here. Like, don't try and do it all at once because that's when you just get so overwhelmed.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to be said for making one small positive change.
Yeah.
And then
snowball, man.
It's like the death snowball. It's like you pay off the smallest and then you keep going. When you've got a whole big mountain to climb, just do the smallest good thing that you can.
Yeah.
That's going to set you in the right direction and then really celebrate that.
Dude, and you know what that was getting back on a normal schedule.
Yeah.
That was the first thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't even going to the gym. It was literally me sitting there and saying, I cannot be nocturnal anymore.
Mm-hmm. This is really bad for me.
Literally. So a normal schedule for me was like Sarah would go to bed and I would say, okay, I'm going to bed. Did I go to sleep? Not often, but I was there. I was trying to go to bed probably like an hour or two after you.
Yeah. And there was like a week or two where like you just didn't sleep at night and then you made yourself stay up as long as you could
Yes.
in the day.
So I was going to bed at like 4 or 5 p.m. and then waking up at like 3, but I was getting myself back to normal working hours.
It took a while.
Yeah, and that was horrible. That felt really bad.
It's a bad transition.
It really sucked, but I got there.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, that was when it just started. I was like, oh, I can do this, and then I can do this, X, Y, Z, whatever. So I got a gym membership. I stopped drinking. I was like, I can't deal with the food right now. I'll just leave that to later. Mm-hmm. And what's so funny is I'm still dealing with that. Like,
well, because you've been, not your whole life, but you've been on the heavier side for most of your life.
I'd say since I was like 17, 18.
You were a little bit overweight as a kid too, though.
Yeah.
It was like you were overweight and then you had your growth spurt around 17.
And I lost a lot of weight, yes.
It was like you were the same weight, but you were just like taller.
Taller, yeah.
And then you filled back out.
Yeah, for sure. And then college was really when like my main battle with like binge eating specifically started.
Yeah.
Because it was available to me and I was like, well,
there's no
might
rules.
As well. Yeah.
I remember I had the same realization like in the calf one day. I was like,
oh, really?
I could eat. I said to myself, I could eat ice cream every meal
day.
forever and nobody could stop me.
Yep.
But I didn't do that. I had ice cream a lot, but I didn't only eat ice cream. But I did have the same, like, about 2 weeks into college, like, my mom's not going to tell me not to eat ice cream for every meal.
There's nobody looking at me.
Like, there's no, I make the rules now. That was like a big moment. I'll never forget that.
But where you had a stopgap, I did not. Yeah. I had that same realization and then I said, okay, let's go.
I'm going to eat 3/4 pounders for every meal.
Exactly. Not only am I going to eat everything in the calf on the meal plan that I'm already paying for, but I'm also going to waste so much money on fast food and, like so much money. And not even the money, but like the health side of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's where it all started. But that snowball starts like that's the main thing I want you to take away from this. If you're watching this and you're like, okay, well, where's the action? Like your story is different than my story. I get that. But the action is do one thing that pushes you towards positive. Mm-hmm. And positive can be whatever you define it as, right? Like, I don't want this to be like, oh, lose weight, it'll make you feel better. Because you know, that might not be the thing, right? But I do think that getting more activity is generally positive. Getting more normal sleep is generally positive. So one of those things.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, like I remember like with me, I'm not somebody who enjoys physical activity. I just don't. True. But I remember like when I started wearing a Fitbit and like counting my steps. Yeah. At first it was like, man, wouldn't it be cool if I could try to get 6,000 steps a day?
Yeah.
And then it was like, you know what? After months, I was like, this isn't too hard. I could probably get 7,000 steps a day.
Yeah.
And then it became 8,000. And now I try and average 8,000, but most days I try and get more than that.
Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't feel hard anymore. So it was just you make a small effort to do something a little bit better. Yeah. And then that becomes your new baseline. And it's like, well, I could probably do even more.
That's such a good point. Because like, when I was in the depths of it, I was like, I'll never be able to get 10,000 steps.
Like, look how far I'm going to have to go. I can't.
I get between 15 and 18,000 steps a day now.
And now you probably can't imagine any different. And like for me to be like, oh my God, 18,000 steps a day. I could never do that. If I really wanted to, I would just try and get 9,000 steps a day. Right. That's the problem. That is the thing that I think sets so many people back is we are an all or nothing culture. We know how to make long-term goals. We don't know how to make short-term goals.
Right.
You have to have both.
And the long-term goal should be lofty. It should be difficult, but there's this huge gap in between that you have to be like, step one,
you have to
step two, step three.
You have to think of short-term goals like a ladder.
Yeah.
You know, it's one step at a time.
This is the main thing. Like this is when I bring somebody in for an assessment or when I do a call and they're like, oh, well, I want to lose 70 pounds. That's great. That's a great goal. But after 2 weeks, when you've only lost 5 pounds, what is that going to look like for you? Is that going to be a source of discouragement or is that going to be like, wow, I lost 5 pounds. That was part of the plan to get me towards the 70 pounds.
I lost 5 pounds in a month. That's a lot for a month.
Right. So that's another major thing is like, if you can just start small, it builds. And
as long as you have the expectation that small steps are going to build.
Right. Exactly. It can't just be, oh my God, look how little progress
this
I'm
is
making.
nothing.
Yeah.
Like you made progress. You met a short-term goal.
Progress is progress.
Now we make another short-term goal and we meet that. And then before you know it, you've lost your 70 pounds or you've run a 5K or, you've gotten a promotion at work.
Right.
Like whatever it is.
I think the majority of what I do is literally reminding people about the success they've made in the short term.
Mm-hmm.
Because we get, and I'm thinking specifically about my powerlifters on my roster and my bodybuilders, we get so focused on, holy cow, look how much of a change I have to make to get to where I want to be, that we lose
how far you've come already.
Literally, in the gym today, I had to do 3 singles on my deadlift at 525 pounds. I had to do 4, and I only got 3. I had it at 525 pounds, and I'm sitting there like,
that's a lot.
When did anything over 500 become mundane for me? Like when ask me 2 years ago if I ever thought I'd get even close to something like 500 pounds.
Go back to you at 3 a.m,
dude,
sitting on the couch, eating 2 whole pizzas and a bunch of candy. You would be shocked, amazed. You would be like in awe of yourself.
Right. But we're just so focused on.
And today that made you sad.
Yeah. I was sad that I didn't get the 4th one.
But like, you talked to a friend and showed him the video and he was like, yeah, that was decent.
You're good.
Like, it's okay.
And I'm so happy that I went in and I did it. And the reason I didn't do the 4th one was because I just listened to my body. I watched the video back on the 3rd one and it was creeping more towards like an RPE 10 rather than where it was supposed to be, which is like an 8. Mm-hmm. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to push it. I have one more week on this current plan. We'll push it next week. Live to fight another day.
Great.
But that's the main thing is like, when did these major milestones become minor? Mm-hmm. Because we just don't think about that. That's why I encourage people to film themselves and to like take progress pictures, because you need physical evidence of where you've come. Mm-hmm. Where, like, look, I have an album on my phone of what I looked like and what I wrote, like what you felt like when you were this weight. And I look back at that almost every month and I'm like, holy cow, look how far I've come. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And you made, small change after small change, and it led you from doing something that you really didn't enjoy and that wasn't what you thought it was going to be to now doing something that's enriching your life. Yeah, you're helping people. Like, so one thing led to another, and now look at the place that you're in, and it's really exciting.
To kind of put a bow on it, but in terms of like my career, going from something that I really just dreaded to being so blessed to find something that I love. Mm-hmm. Even on the worst day, when none of my clients show up, or when nobody does the homework, or when everybody is like hard to get in contact with, I would rather be doing this.
Yeah.
That's just the truth of it. Yeah. And I think that I fought this idea because I'm a good teacher. Mm-hmm. I've always been a good teacher. Mm-hmm. And I fought this idea. Because I had those that can't do teach, right? Was just.
And that's so stupid.
Miserable. I can do, but I can teach better, right? Mm-hmm. That's fine. I still am a powerlifter, but I'm a better powerlifting coach. I'm a better personal trainer. Yeah. That's awesome. And it gives me more fulfillment than anything else.
You get to touch so many lives and just put positivity into so many people.
That's the main
such
thing.
A blessing.
Well, so after I went through so from like October 2020 until, 2022, I lost 75 pounds, 80 pounds. Mm-hmm. And after I went through that, I was like, wow, everybody needs to know what this feels like. And not weight loss, but everybody needs to know putting a plan in place, setting a goal, going through the hardship of it, and finishing it is the most rewarding thing that you can do. Mm-hmm. Everybody needs to know what this feeling is, regardless. Mm-hmm. And I was so in love with the gym that I was like, I have to help people. I have to help people do this. Like, this is awesome. People need to know what this is. And so that's when I was like, well, let me become a coach. Mm-hmm. Let me become a personal trainer. And I did the NASM, whatever. I went and worked at LA Fitness for a long time. I'm still at LA Fitness, but I'm now more so focused on my online business, which is even more rewarding because it's one-on-one. I don't have to worry about anybody over top of me. It's just great. But I really think that it wouldn't have happened had I not started myself. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like if I hadn't made the decision to be like, something's got to change. I don't care what it is, like as small as it can be. Let me just get back on a normal sleep schedule. So it's just so weird to look back at your life and be like, that one decision has led me now to a entirely new career.
Yeah.
Like that one, okay, I'm going to wake up at 9 a.m. all the way to I'm going to be a powerlifting
Your
coach.
life is so different.
It's
now.
crazy.
It's like that. Isn't there some saying like the flap of a butterfly's wing causes a hurricane?
Exactly.
I mean, it's
happened.
so true.
Yeah.
If you change one thing or you make one decision and you follow the course that sets you on, that can change it in great ways. It can happen in very negative ways as well. So it's important to make sure that, that small decision, that every small decision that you make is going to serve the positive goal that you have.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because those small decisions of going to the gas station continued to dig me deeper and deeper into the hole.
Right. It was, it's just one more night of eating.
That was literally it.
Yeah. It's like, no, I won't do it tomorrow. I'm just going to go today.
Yep. And we are very good at that. We are, as human beings, we are very good at lying to ourselves.
Like
very good. Yep.
It's not just one.
No.
It's never just one.
Nope. And I got to the point where I knew that. I knew that I was lying to myself, but I would still do it. So
self-deception is a very powerful thing.
100%.
Very powerful.
So to end this, I'm not 100% where I want to be. I don't think you're ever going to get there, but I am so much better than where I was. And I want to encourage everybody watching this or listening to this, just make one change. And it doesn't have to be health and fitness. It can be, like you said, in your job, in your relationships with other people. Try and find something that you define as positive that's going to move you towards a better outcome.
Yeah.
And then just see where that's going to take you, because I guarantee you it'll take you places you could never imagine. I didn't think when I started that I was going to end up here. No. And God only knows where I'm going to get in the next 5 to 10 years, continuing down this path.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
It is exciting.
And I just, like I said, I'm going to scream it from the rooftops. Just make one positive change. You got to feel what this feels like.
I mean, you're just a totally different person now.
Yeah.
I mean, even just like the look on your face
I used to be just such a pessimistic, like always down, always complaining, always finding the negative. And I can still fall into those patterns, but most of the time I'm finding the positive outlook on things, like which I never thought would happen. I always was like, oh, I'm a realist. I'm not a pessimist. I'm a realist. If I could punch that dude in the face, I would. I was a pessimist. I was negative, and I was complaining about everything and anything that was slightly inconvenient. And it's like, that served no purpose at all, except to make me worse.
And to dig you deeper in that hole of pessimism. Yeah.
Man.
It's everything is positive or negative. I really feel like nothing is neutral.
I think you're right. That's a hard statement to make, because we make so many decisions in our life on a day-to-day basis that you would love for something to just be like, okay, this is a net neutral. But
probably not.
I think it's going to put you one side or the other. I just think that that's kind of how it goes. I don't know. All right. Well, thank you. If you're still watching after that personal dump, I want you guys to get to know us a little bit better. That's what the podcast is all about. Yeah. So that's a little bit about my life story. All right. Let's help some people with a fitness question, shall we?
All
right. Does anyone know how a chest, biceps, and back triceps day would compare to a standard push-pull legs split, where you do chest and triceps, back and biceps? In theory, shouldn't putting opposing muscle groups together better optimize the arm muscles, since the standard push-pull legs works the arm muscles with chest and back exercises and tiring them out? Or does it do the opposite? Thoughts? You're not going to have a...
I didn't understand that, really.
Okay. So the core of the question is... how should I program? How should I optimize?
Like, should you do biceps and triceps in the same day?
Should you do biceps and chest? Should you do back and triceps? The traditional split is that you do your pulling movements, which work your back and your biceps on the same day. And you do your pushing movements, which works your chest, shoulders, and triceps on the same day. And then you do legs. That's a traditional push-pull legs split.
Okay. And what is he asking?
He is asking, what if I did chest and biceps on the same day? Because then my biceps won't be fatigued from my pushing movements, so I can get more work out of my bicep. Does that make sense?
Because you're still doing a little bit of bicep stuff even on a pushing day? Not
particularly. So that's the idea. When you're pressing, your bicep is at best a stabilizer.
Right.
So you're not getting active eccentric and concentric loading.
So why isn't he happy with the traditional split?
Well, because people, this is why I put this question here. Programming comes down to personal preference most of the time.
But isn't it like work each muscle group to failure?
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. There is a wide range of what drives hypertrophy. And the more that we study it, the more we understand that, like there was a study that just came out, loaded stretching can provide hypertrophy or a hypertrophic stimulus. Who would have thought?
Really?
Exactly.
That's interesting.
Who would have thought? So this idea that we have to optimize and move, and I can get caught up in this as well.
Work hard in the gym.
So when you're designing a split, which is like I'm going to do chest on Monday, I'm going to do legs on Tuesday, right? Mm-hmm. It comes down to, there are some general principles that you want to follow. You want to get your volume, your amount of work in the range that's going to give you, usually it's between 10 and 20 working sets, meaning hard sets. Mm-hmm. You want to, research has shown that frequency of hitting a muscle group is better if you do it twice than it is once, but you reach a point of diminishing returns. So if you're doing chest 1 time a week, you will probably experience more growth if you do it twice a week.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit more growth if you do it 3 times a week, and then we start getting into diminishing returns.
The muscle's just too tired to get better.
Recovery can get it,
Okay.
This is all individual as well. So I'm giving generalizations, but there are, I can hear somebody go, I do chest 6 days a week and my chest is huge. Cool. I'm very happy for you. That's awesome. I'm giving general recommendations. Dude, this is the problem with fitness online, is for every constant, there will be one.
Well, I think...
Hey, I did legs 8 times and I feel really good.
I think we need to remember the hierarchy of evidence, right? Anecdotal evidence is evidence, but it is the least
I could kiss you squarely on the mouth.
Right.
Just because you have experienced a change doing this wild, wacky thing.
That's great for you.
Exactly.
Might it work for somebody else?
Maybe.
Is it probably going to work for everyone? No.
Exactly.
If it works, great. Keep doing it. Love that for you. You go, girl, whatever.
That is the core of what you need to keep in mind when you're setting up a program. And we get deep in the weeds.
You got to start with good evidence as your starting place, right? This is what research is showing. This is what the best possible studies that we have are showing. And then, okay, how can I tweak this to work perfectly for me?
Yep. And you're never going to get there. That's the other thing.
To work better for me.
As well as you possibly can. To really answer this question, you could do that. But I think because you're getting secondary tricep activation on your pushing movements, and then you're doing heavy work on your biceps, I fear that by the time you get to your pulling and tricep day, your triceps may be overly fatigued from the opposite. That's kind of why we group them together. Okay. The other reason we group them together is that if you start big to small, so if you start with a compound movement, like a bench press or an overhead press, meaning you're using 2 joints, the elbow and the shoulder, of course, yes, your primary mover is going to be your chest or your shoulders, but your triceps are also going to be involved. The reason you want that is because by the time you get to triceps, you can use less weight and still gain the same level of stimulus. So if you walk in and you start with a tricep rope push down, the amount of weight that you're going to use is going to be really harsh on your elbow.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. So you've already pre-fatigued the muscle. So now you can bring the weight way down when you get to your tricep rope push down and not have to worry about tendinitis.
Interesting.
Again, everybody's different. Some bodybuilders love to start with their, isolation work and then move to their compound. Cool. If you're a power lifter, you're probably going to do your prime mover first so that you're not super fatigued. Also cool. It doesn't really matter. It comes down to personal preference.
Well, and I feel like, maybe this is terrible advice, so please stop me if it is. But if he wants to do this different thing and see if it works for him, do it.
Yeah. No, that's not terrible advice.
Do it. See what happens. Do it for us, 12 weeks, and see what you think. Is it working for you? Great. Keep doing it. Is it not really doing what you want? Go back to whatever it is you were to go back to the traditional thing and find another tweak from there that you can try.
I feel like
he's not gonna injure himself if he does it with, some
if you're doing
sense.
it smartly, you're not.
So try, see what happens.
I just I think with fitness online and especially like Reddit and Instagram, it's like everybody's trying to reinvent the wheel for some reason. Yeah. You don't have to.
No.
It's all good. Like you can, but you don't have to. That's the big thing. And like next week we're going to talk about fitness Instagram because it's just driving me up a wall.
Really?
It's making me insane because it's that same thing. Everybody's trying to reinvent the wheel. So you've got these crazy chaotic movements like we're shocking the muscle. It's like, bro, shut up. You don't. We'll talk about that next week.
Okay.
Tune in next week for an unhinged rant about Instagram fitness because that's where it's going. All that to say, personal preference, try and work first in the largest body of evidence that you have and then make tweaks within that body of evidence.
Mm-hmm. And evaluate the results,
right.
See if you're happy with it or if you want to tweak something else.
That's evaluate the results is a great point because what happens is a lot of people will do this for like a week and be like, this doesn't work. It's like, bro.
Like nothing's going to work in a week.
A week? Stay on the program. It's so funny. There's this meme, Lifetime Intermediate. It's just program hopping after like 2 weeks all the time. Mm-hmm. It's like, dude, there's something to be said about getting the bare minimum on paper, going and doing that hard for 6 weeks and seeing where that gets you. And
then evaluate the results.
That will get you 90% of the way there. I promise. I promise.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to do this relationship advice question because this one, I've had this one on here for like 3 weeks and we've just never had time.
We keep not getting time.
It's a long one, but
okay.
I'll try and speed through it. Okay. I, male 27, have been dating my girlfriend, female 26, for 10 months. My family still hangs out, sees, talks with my ex-girlfriend, female 27, and it makes me and my girlfriend uncomfortable. Okay. My ex and I dated for 4 years. She lived with my family for a chunk of COVID. The relationship should have ended sooner, but I let it draw out because I was comfortable. It was my fault. There was no infidelity, no abuse. We just were going separate ways in our lives. My sibling has drunkenly told me that I'm blamed for the breakup and they loved her, and I feel this doesn't give my current girlfriend a fair chance. I don't want them to continue the relationship, but they won't respect my wishes, which is making me drift away from them. I don't want them to miss out on their first grandchild. Oh, I missed this. She's pregnant.
Oh.
I don't want the current girlfriend, but I feel they're leaving no choice. I don't know what to do. I don't want to cut my family off. I love them, but I understand that's a possibility. This sucks. Any guidance of similar situations would help. Holy cow. That's a tough one, man.
I think he's right.
I also think he's right. I think that again, he's right in the fact that he's the main character of his own life and that okay, we have to probably agree with his wishes on this and not talk to his ex-girlfriend anymore. But I also, so let me take devil's advocate.
I understand that they liked her. That's great.
I'm going to put myself in the family shoes for a minute.
Yeah.
This person lived with us for a little bit. We have our own relationship outside of their relationship.
I understand that completely. However, she needs to become a side character, I feel like. Because she's not family.
Right.
It's okay to like her.
But maybe they are seeing her like that because it seems like from what we know with the sibling saying, oh, it's your fault. We really loved her. I feel like some type of separation definitely needs to happen. Maybe you don't spend as much time with your family or your family doesn't spend as much time with the girl, the ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
But clearly it's not working.
Right.
So something needs to change there. But I think if I'm the parents, I can see but a sibling, you can't control a sibling.
Right. I agree. If your little sister wants to still be friends with this girl, go out to lunch.
Cool.
Go get a drink.
Ideally,
whatever.
you're not seeing your sister. I don't know. I'm close with my siblings, but I'm not incredibly close with my siblings to the point where I would become best friends with one of their dating partners, and then when they break up,
but we've never lived with
our
families as adults, so that might be different. I don't know.
Could be different. I think the living with situation makes it a little bit harder.
I think that really does make it a lot harder, especially because it was an extended period of time.
A long time.
I mean,
it was
because
all
she
through
did
COVID.
kind of become part of the family,
Yeah.
but now she's no longer technically part of the family. But yeah, I feel like if your sister wants to go out to lunch with your ex-girlfriend,
you don't have a say in that.
A lot that you can do about that. But yeah, I feel like
But the parents, that's where it becomes like, hey, mom and dad, maybe stop bringing this girl to our house and like having her still be a part of our family while my current girlfriend is here with child. Like, woof.
Yeah, I think it probably might make the new girlfriend feel like she's not being given a fair shot at becoming a part of the family.
That's the main problem. It's like, okay, I've been with this girl for only 10 months, but clearly they like each other if she's going to have a kid. It's like, okay, this is a longer term commitment, or at least you would hope it would be.
Well, yeah, and even if they don't stay together forever, they're still going to have a child together.
Hey,
right.
Your grandchild is going to be in this relationship. It might be time for you to give this new person the same chance that you gave the old person.
Yeah. Well, and I think, I know we always go back to like have a conversation about it,
clearly.
But like talk to your parents and like maybe just you and them. Yes. Don't bring the girlfriend into it.
I would say that's
but just to say like, hey mom, hey dad, this is how I perceive what you're doing. Mm-hmm. This is my reality. Yep. This is what I'm experiencing. And this is the way that it's making me feel.
Yep.
And this is the way that it's making Anna feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she really wants to be a part of the family. I want her to feel like she's a part of the family. I want our child to feel like their parents are, important members of the family. But the way that things are going right now, it's not feeling like that. And that I worry that that's going to cause distance between us and you guys. So what can we do? And what are your thoughts and feelings? What is your perception of the situation? And just talking about it.
Because it could be that the parents are like, oh, we didn't know that it was that big of a deal.
Yeah, or it's like, oh, we really know her. We really like her. We don't really know this new girl yet, but like we would like to. She seems great.
When the rubber meets the road in that conversation, if your parents still choose the ex-girlfriend, then sorry, bud. That's just part of it. You're going to have to distance yourself.
Like you had an adult conversation about it. Now you have to take what they've said.
That sucks, but that happens all the time. Mm-hmm. Like that just happens. They like divorce happens and one side goes with one and one, that's kind of how it works, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. So you obviously have an adult conversation with these people, but there's a very real possibility that your parents, for whatever reason, are going to be like, we're still going to hang out with her.
That would be very unfortunate. And I hope that parents wouldn't do that.
But it happens all the time.
It is on the table as a possibility. And so I think you do probably have to be prepared for that outcome.
What a rough situation.
Yeah. I mean, I just can't really imagine.
Man.
I mean, no matter how long somebody's been together, if they break up, that's kind of that.
I wonder if it's like they just got so used to this idea that this person was going to be in their life forever.
They just
like 4 years in relationship terms, living together. That's like very permanent.
I wonder how long they've been broken up though.
Well, yeah, we don't get that. That's an interesting thing is he doesn't tell us how long.
At least 10 months.
At least 10 months. And she lived with him. She lived with him during COVID.
I mean, but that could have been
2020. So maybe
that could have been 3 or 4 years.
At most, they've been broken up for 2 years.
Yeah. That's kind of a long time.
It's a long time.
That's half the relationship.
Right. That's time enough for her to...
So like he could have been single for a year. They're still hanging out with her. He's now dating somebody else for nearly a year.
That's the vibe that I'm getting. It's like she's still a big part of their life even after they break up. It's like...
I mean, like, is she coming to Thanksgiving and like the family barbecue?
We need more.
Crazy.
Imagine. That's what I'm imagining. I'm imagining like she's still a big part of the family. Because if she's not, then maybe he's reading too much into it. Like, okay... My mom still has her phone, like texts her every now and again.
Yeah. Or it's like she goes out to lunch with my sister and she comes in to say hi to my mom before she leaves.
That's not as much of a major thing.
That would be him overreacting.
Right. But I'm imagining she's coming to family dinner. She's there a lot. She's at the house. Night. Like, that's what I'm imagining.
That would be a good...
And in that scenario, okay.
Because it is to the point where it's making his new girlfriend uncomfortable.
Yeah, and that's the main thing. You've got to do what's best for her in that situation. Mm-hmm. She's going to be the mother of your child. It's like, okay, well, we got to figure something out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Man, that's a tough one. I'm really hoping that never happens to anyone that I know, because I wouldn't know how to give a
so awkward
legitimate information on that.
That would be so awkward.
It's just tough.
I wonder if he and the ex-girlfriend are still amicable to the point where they could talk about it.
I don't making
know.
An assumption, but it seems like yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't know this girl.
Could go
we don't
really
know. That
badly.
could go very poorly.
That would be my last resort. If I
be
were
like, hey, stop coming to my house.
Like, listen.
I have a new girlfriend. She's about to have a kid.
Like, could you go find a new boyfriend's family?
You gotta get out of my
please?
life. like, I don't know.
Go date somebody else. I'm begging you.
There's so much unsaid here, because it could also be like, what if the ex still harbors feelings? He broke up with her. What if she's still trying to get it? Like, there's so much going on here. Right. It's just too much. Like,
yeah, and we're only getting one side of it.
Exactly. We don't know what's
the way that he has worded his side of it. I am inclined to take his side. Yes.
But there's so many different parties involved here.
Yeah.
We could hear a different story from the parents, from the siblings, from the ex-girlfriend. Like, there's so much going on. We just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. But wow.
Well, good luck to you, my friend. Sorry. I don't have any talk. That's my main advice.
If I had been with somebody for 4 years and they broke up with me, I would rather die than be around them.
I know people that are like that. That just like, they've just become so ingrained in daily life, like with the family or with whatever, that they're still around even after the breakup. I couldn't
do it.
Yeah. I don't have much experience with breaking up with people, but
I certainly don't either.
That I have broken up with people, the last thing I wanted to do was be around them.
Yeah.
Like,
I can't imagine.
I don't know.
Yeah, like in a world where, after 4 years together, we had broken up, I would have never laid eyes on you again.
Yeah. It would have been too hard.
I love your family.
Yeah.
I would have never wanted to talk to your parents again, no matter how much, because it would just be too painful.
Right. Exactly.
I don't know.
That seems to be a normal reaction. I don't know. All right. Well, there you go. If you ever see this, reach out and let us know what happened. I would love to hear from an update.
I would love an update.
I'll look on the Reddit, because sometimes people update.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I would love to know.
Man, I'll look and see. I hope they update.
Please do look.
All right, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you for watching.
Yeah.
A little bit more energy today than last week. I feel a little bit better.
You got good sleep this week.
I did.
And look at you now.
Sleep.
I got bad sleep this week, but I slept in this morning and I feel much better.
You're holding it down. You did good.
Thank you. I feel like I'm getting back to normal.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Continue to work to better yourselves, people. That's the main thing. I really
step at a time.
Yep. It doesn't have to be all at once. Mm-hmm. I really enjoy hearing your stories. Mm-hmm. So if you want to reach out and say, hey, I've done this or I've done that, we'd love to hear from you. Mm-hmm. We're just trying to build a community.
Yeah.
If you are enjoying this podcast, subscribe to the channel.
Yeah.
Send the podcast around. I'm trying to do these calls to action because that's what YouTube tells me to do.
Yes, sir.
So we'd love to, like the video. If you're listening on Spotify, rate us. I don't know how that works. I don't use Spotify.
Give us 100 stars.
Give us 1,000,000 stars. Have a great rest of your day, everyone, and a great rest of your week. We'll see you next week. We love you.
We love you very much.
Do we?
We do.
I think so. Yeah, we do. Bye.